We've been telling y'all for quite some time now, but now it's starting to get a little bit of a more national attention. And the message is NC State football, buy stock now.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wolfpack, free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. When you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets back every single time they win in the regular season. More on that to come in the rest of this episode. But head over to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. As always, I'm Grayson Boone. Joining me is Kenton Gibbs. And Kenton, like I mentioned here, something we've been kind of accumulating opinions on as we get closer and closer to this fall season. I think I started this train sort of in the springtime when I said, you might want to reconsider what NC State still has here under the hood, because I think there's still a lot of big-time pieces that are going to surprise some folks maybe. And you might be surprised on how much production we still have here, despite what we lost last year. Any thoughts before I kick it to Josh Pate?
You know, I'll say this. I want you and Josh Pate to both put a lid on it. Understand? I don't know if you're familiar with the Fast and Furious franchise, but there used to be a point in time where they weren't going into space and flying cars off of roofs and whatnot. They were just racing. And there was a moment where there was a race against a Honda where this guy had like a charged up Mustang or some muscle car or something like that. And then this guy drives up with a Honda and they said, yeah, we're racing for pink slips. So whoever loses, the other person gets their car. And he looks at this Honda and starts laughing. He's just hysterical. I mean, he's laughing from his diaphragm now. And then all of a sudden, when they take off, that little Honda goes zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day to the finish line well before the gentleman in the muscle car, who then starts to panic and says, I can't give up this car. I don't know what I'm going to do. Long story short, we're the Honda. I don't want anybody to know what's under our hood right now. Yeah, it's a standard Honda engine under here. We can go 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds. Yes, that.
Pay no attention to the gigantic engine under this tiny hood.
Nothing. You know nothing of this. You saw nothing.
But as I mentioned, this clip comes from Josh Pate of the Late Kick Show. Kind of reinforces what we've been nudging at these last couple months here. Check it out.
Devin Leary left. I think everyone knows that. And I think, unless I'm just reading the college football public wrong, I think that's where most people's knowledge of NC State ends right now. Now, if you've done your due diligence, God bless you. You know Brennan Armstrong transferred there from Virginia, but a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people hear Devin Leary left, forget about NC State. Well, here's the thing. Brennan Armstrong's pretty good. And not only did he transfer from Virginia to NC State, his offensive coordinator's there too. So it was pretty much like taking the two most important cogs of an offense and installing them at NC State, to where there's really not much of a learning curve. The learning curve is more in learning the personnel around him and, learning names and learning your way around campus. But as far as learning an offense, he doesn't have to learn anything. If anything, the guys around him have to learn an offense. He's a grad senior, so he's been around. He's a full-grown man, 6'2", 215. He knows how to play. He knows how to handle himself in college. And I'm saying all that to tell you, maybe there's not much of a drop-off at all here. And I think pretty highly of Devin Leary. Devin Leary was not protected all that well last year. So in the aggregate, man, maybe if I get half-decent offensive line play and, I don't know, bring the right coordinator-quarterback combo in, maybe NC State's a dark horse contender over there. A lot of people think that. Could be one of those classic cases where everyone bought stock in a team a year too early. Their over-under win total is 6.5. We detailed that last show. But that's what I'm keeping an eye on, because if you start seeing scrimmage reports and you start getting team insider feedback where people are saying, hey, they seem well ahead of the curve of whatever Vegas has set. They seem way better than whatever these preview magazines said. It's just because people overlooked that simple fact. Like, it's not always the end of the world because the quarterback who was there last year moves on. This is not the NFL. This is college football. Teams improve all the time with a new quarterback. So it's not like a foreign concept.
All right. Yeah. You might notice that this is something that we've been harping on here these last couple of months. Whoa. Hold on. Sorry about that. Okay.
Don't worry about it. I'm here with you. I get you. You're good. You're absolutely right. And there's a team that I want to reference that some of our listeners might know about, right? There's a team right down the road from us. Tennessee didn't win the championship with Peyton Manning at the helm. However, they did win one immediately after Peyton left with T. Martin. So sometimes it's not necessarily about just the trigger man and how good he is or is not. Sometimes it's about the entire situation. Sometimes it's about how the schedule shakes out. Sometimes there's a myriad of factors that go into success for a season and all that good stuff. And I'll tell you this much. Could this very much so be a situation where, like you said, folks bought stock a year too early? Very possibly. But if you're listening to this show, chances are you're holding, or as the Bitcoin bros would say, you're hodling. And this is a great accidental hodl if you're an NC State fan, because you could be looking at a season here that, as I've said before, if the running game is good, which we'll touch on a little later, if we're looking at a situation where, he talked about the protection. I feel like the protection at large wasn't bad. It was just some of the schemes that were going on. You're leaving tackles one-on-one with guys that are going to be first rounders in the NFL draft. The math ain't hard to figure out there. The math is very, very easy to know that you're not going to win that battle 1-for-1. And so when I look at this team, am I saying that it's a guaranteed, a lock, put us in the conference championship? No. But am I saying that there's a chance that we get there? Absolutely. Am I saying that from a standpoint of more than just, oh, we've got a puncher's chance? Every team has the ability. I'm saying this from a legitimate, this team, we know what the defense can do. If the offense can be everything that it's being touted as so far, if we're having 5 to 6 receivers that are producing at a high level, if we're having a backfield that is wildly productive, we could see something special.
Yeah, listen, I mean, if they roll out there up at UConn and just look absolutely lost, then yeah, we're going to look kind of stupid when that happens. But what I'm here to tell you is what I've been predicting, what we've been predicting on this show, what we've been hearing from the main guys down the ACC kickoff, what we've been hearing from the ACC road trip that we'll talk about in just a second, and the insiders like Inside Pack Sports, Corey Smith with Pack Pride. It sounds like this team is going to impress a lot of people, and they're not going to basically impress me because I'm expecting them to overachieve what people are giving them. Brennan Armstrong, yeah, if everything goes well, if he returns back to his 2021 form, look out, because I was the one that said Brennan Armstrong is going to be a top 3 quarterback in the ACC. I'm still standing on that. I believe that. I truly do. I think the influence in the new offensive line coach, Coach 2J, Coach Anai getting in the mix, the ability to transform all the pieces that we've already had, although young and experienced, I think you're going to see them blossom very quickly. And that's just offensively, not even talking about the defense. I'll talk a lot more about the defense here just a second. But, I got so excited listening to Peyton Wilson talk, and it just sounds like he's gained so much confidence in just this past offseason where he will command a room, and he's excited about the younger guys coming up in this defense. Kenton, you asked him at ACC kickoff about the speed of this defense this year, and he's been saying up and down, this is maybe the fastest defense I've seen, not just at NC State, but anywhere. And that was reinforced by Coach Gibson on ACC Network as well. But yeah, I think both sides of the ball, we got a lot more power under this Honda hood than people realize. And so, yeah, you're going to hear it from us, but listen, be low about it. Don't tell nobody else. Keep it between us.
As
Okay.
they would say in the neighborhood I'm from, don't make the block hot.
That's
Just
right.
keep this quiet. We have a Honda Civic engine under here.
Be
Okay.
low.
6.5. That's what they want to put us at. Great. Remember, they did the same thing in what was it, 2021? 6.5, or it was it. I want to say it was actually lower than that. It might have been
No.
5
I
or
think
something like that.
Do you mean 2020?
It was the year where Devin Leary set the world on fire. So
21.
yeah, so 21, they had us at like five or so wins. And I was like, one of my friends who's in the bed is like, hey Ken, man, he's from Detroit. And so he asked me, Ken, what do you think, man? Should I put some money down this? I said, brother, pound the over, pound it. Vegas is giving away money. Okay. You need to call them up and make sure those odds are correct before you place that bet, because this could be one of those faulty line situations, but you need to pound the over. And sure as the sun rises on the east and sets on the west, that was a 9-win season. Should have been 10, but the bowl game got canceled. So
Absolutely. So yeah, and we say it on here a lot. I know Joe Giglio, I think, is the one that has the phrase coined, but with NC State, when you expect the least, it's typically when you get the most. And we're trying to undo the inverse of that, because you get left with some disappointment from time to time. But yeah, I mean, we draw closer. I say it on here every single day. I am so excited to get this football season started and to prove all of us NC State fans right, because I do think we do have a special team here, and it's a lot more special than maybe folks realize so far. But
1,000%.
we're going to touch on this a bit more in just a second after a quick word from one of our sponsors for today. And that is Birddogs. Birddogs give you a clean, truly sculpted look through the thigh and leg with their stretch khaki shorts. You know, they do a better. This is a bad start. They do a better thing than what Lululemon's got going on. Funny enough, I had my Birddogs on just the other day. My mom says, "Are those Lululemon shorts?" I said, "Funny you should ask. Pull up a chair. You got a minute?" These are Birddogs stretch khaki shorts, and they are better than ever. I've been wearing them all throughout the summer. They keep me cool. They keep me comfortable. If I'm on the beach, I'm on the boardwalk, I'm in the mountains, you name it, they got you covered. So what you need to do is head over to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege and enter promo code in all caps, LockedOnCollege, for a free white tech hat with your order. Wouldn't you know it, I actually got it on right now.
Look at that. Look at that, folks. Birddogs looking out for you now.
Got it sideways.
Birddogs looking out for you now.
It's perfect for golf if you're into that, or just perfect for lounge wear. Head on over to birddogs.com, promo code LockedOnCollege for a free white tech hat. You don't want to take your Birddogs off. We promise you that. All right. And now, Kenton, I want to talk a little bit about this ACC road trip. They've been doing this every year, where basically the ACC network crew, they take a day trip to each ACC football school. They do just a preview of what they got going on at fall camp. Tuesday was NC State's turn.
Yeah.
NC State's turn. Too many A's and too many C's we've been talking about recently. But a couple key things I want to point out that they were talking about. I really, I really love the things that both Peyton Wilson had to say and that Tony Gibson had to say. I wish we heard a lot more from Tony Gibson. They had a great segment where he broke down some film, and his knowledge of the defense that he runs is second to none. He knows every single inch of that defense, exactly where they should be, what they're looking for. And it was pretty amazing. Kenton, a lot more so on your front as you played defensive end, but for someone who's not exactly savvy with the X's and O's to the higher degree, it was so intriguing to watch Coach Gibson just break down. It was a play last year against Virginia Tech where I believe he called it cross dog, where basically the linebackers would cross, try and confuse the offensive lineman, and then Peyton Wilson bum rushes in to get the sack. And just the way he broke down that play was incredible, before going on to say that, yeah, we have an extremely talented defense here this year. They're faster than they've ever been, and there's a whole lot to be excited about. And Peyton Wilson kind of reinforced that. And he said, and this is probably what's going to get the most media buzz, he feels like there is no step back, no step down. even said the defense might be even better than it was last year. And that's one heck of a hook to hang your hat on, I guess you could say. And yeah, when you look back there, you got Aiden White, you got Shaheem Battle. I would put those two against any cornerback duo in the ACC, bar none. I'm taking them every single time. So certainly a lot to be excited about. Kenton, what were your main takeaways?
I think that it's always a beautiful thing to discuss, and I don't want to get too in the weeds here because I know sometimes some of the viewers tell me, "Hey, break it down a little bit," all
Dip
that
your
good
toes
stuff.
in. Dip your toes
But
in.
I'll tell you this: the way that Tony Gibson talked about understanding teams' blitz pickup, understanding their pass protection rules, and when you understand rules, you can deconstruct them, right? Like if you know, for example, if you wanted to sow discord in someone's home, right, and you knew who was already the least content, you knew who already had certain things going on where it's like, oh, that's the target. That's where we're going to go with this. You knew where there were already certain rules that they could easily be picked at, poked at, prodded at. That's how blitzes are drawn up on those third and long situations. Those blitzes aren't just randomly called just because Coach Gibson's like, let's blitz from the right this time. I just feel like it. No, it's based upon the rules that the offense presents and the tendencies that the offense presents. How often do they stick to these rules? Are their rules malleable at all, or are they immovable? Are they completely static to the point where it's like, hey, this is what they do day in, day out? Because then you'll see the same blitzes repeated multiple times more often than not, because they're gonna have success multiple times if teams don't make adjustments. So hearing Tony Gibson talk about that type of deal and talk about how a pass protection, how Virginia Tech's pass protection rules basically allowed for Peyton Wilson to be, in essence, a free rusher to get home, it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see. And I'm going to say this. There was only one defensive coordinator that I have seen in my time in the ACC that I would say, in terms of drawing up blitzes, not overall, but just in terms of drawing up blitzes and getting dogs home, I would say was better than Tony Gibson. And that guy is the head coach at Oklahoma right now, Brent Venables. His dogs were crazy. Like when you watch just the ways in which offensive lines look completely confused. I remember against us, they ran a double A gap. Well, really, it was a triple A gap blitz. Both of the linebackers came A gap. The safety came on a delayed blitz up the A gap as well. And it was like, this is insane. That's the only guy that I would say has Gibson beat. Everybody else, it's not close in terms of who draws up the best dogs, who knows how to get guys home in the most quick, efficient, succinct fashion. Right now, it's Gibson and everybody else.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes from Coach Gibson in that little segment there, Roddy Jones and Eric McLean were kind of discussing how much confidence it takes to call a blitz, let's say on like a 1st and 10, because Gibson will do that quite often. And he gave a lot of credit to the secondary. He says, I can trust those guys that they're going to blanket back there in the secondary, that I can send the house and expect immediate results. And I love that. The line, he says, we go to Vegas, we don't play $5 blackjack. We go all in. I love that. It just, those sort of tidbits, I could listen to Gibson break down anything. I want him to break down anything. I'll just listen to it all day.
That's what blitzing is. What blitzing is. Blitzing is de facto a risky operation. When you look at a base defense, right? Your base defense gives you at least, at minimum, guaranteed 3 to 4 guys on the second level. If anything goes wrong, if they get through the line of scrimmage, if an offense finds a hole, they find a way to squirt through there, you're looking at 3 to 4 guys on that second level ready to get a stop. If you're blitzing, and let's just say you blitz to the left and they go pitch right, well, you don't have those 3 to 4 guys on the second level anymore, because why? You just sent a few of them. And even beyond that, when you talk about blitzing in the running game, you're talking about knowing the technique of a run blitz versus a pass blitz. Because in a pass blitz, guys are normally up high. They're normally standing pretty high and trying to run full speed and sprint. If you come in on a running play, standing up high, trying to go as fast as you can, you will get tossed out of the club, my brother. You will get tossed up out of the club. So, like Coach Gibson alluded to, it's a risky proposition, but guess what? Last year, if we were talking about going to Vegas, we left out richest kings more often than not.
Well, speaking of maybe bets and odds, we're going to kick it to our second sponsor of today. That is FanDuel. Football season is almost upon us. The NFL is soon to kick off, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long. Right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner here in August, you can get bonus bets every single time they win in the regular season, the whole season. So let's say you bet on maybe Aaron Rodgers and the Jets to win it all. I mean, I doubt it, but maybe you bet on the Jets. Every single time the Jets win a game in the regular season, you get bonus bets back. How sick is that? Pretty good deal if you ask me. You can use your bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So what you need to do is go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. All right. And, I was hoping we weren't going to have to talk anything conference realignment today. And there I went hoping again. Tuesday, I see a report that SMU is now being linked to the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm okay with this one. I think SMU makes a world more sense than both Cal and Stanford. I don't love it, but I think it makes a lot more sense. And, at the very least, logistically, it's a whole lot closer than the West Coast, although Texas is not exactly a hop, skip, and a jump. But the only thing here, my holdup again, is SMU bringing that much to the table for ACC to seriously consider this?
Grayson, we got to get you on the Cal and Stanford to ACC train. First thing first. We got to get you on that train first, okay?
Are you jumping the fence on me?
What do you mean jumping the fence? I've been pro Cal and Stanford from the jump of that being announced. I understand. I understand the ramifications, and I understand that for the non-revenue sports, this will be hell. At this point in time, we're not talking about the non-revenue sports. That's just the reality. We are chasing the almighty dollar, and everything else that's standing in the way of getting the dollar be damned. That's where we are. So, with that being said, I'm on board for Stanford and Cal to come on. And SMU, y'all free my dog Sherwood Blunt. Get him back in the fold, baby. Get Sherwood back in the fold, baby. I'm just saying he needs to be back, okay? He needs to be back. It's time. Let the man back. Let the man back in and let them in to the ACC. Bring that Dallas market on here. Bring it on in. Come on. It's one of the biggest metropolitan areas in America. Come on.
I should have known when SMU was brought up that you would seize the opportunity to
free my dog.
To rep Sherwood Blunt.
Free my dog Sherwood Blunt till it's backwards.
For those unfamiliar with Sherwood Blunt, he is of the Pony Express infamy, I'll say. Feel free to look that up on your own time. But yeah, I mean, SMU, it is an interesting market, the Dallas market. I think the ACC potentially dipping their toes into Texas is certainly quite interesting. A resounding sentiment I saw in our YouTube comments, which we got a ton of on our video yesterday. Thank you all for chiming in. I love getting all these responses because it stimulates my thought process as well. But a lot of people were talking about the recruiting aspect. So hypothetically, yeah, if you do add a Cal and Stanford, how does that look for recruiting for the ACC? Does that open up many other doors on the recruiting trail? Yeah, it certainly could. And even for Texas, Texas is the hottest of hotbeds, perhaps outside of possibly Florida. Yeah, if the ACC dives into Texas recruiting, maybe that drives the competition level way up in the ACC. We simply don't know, but SMU is intriguing to me. It a lot more intriguing than Cal and Stanford, in just my opinion. I think SMU might fit the ACC vibe a little more, and that's kind of hard to explain, but SMU just feels a bit more ACC-ish than the Cali schools, I guess you could say.
I will say this. If SMU was added into the ACC tomorrow, if SMU were added in tomorrow, they would not be the least watched team in the SEC. I'm sorry, in the ACC. They would not be the second least watched. They would not be the third least watched team in the ACC.
Okay.
So while they would not be on the plus side per se, they would not be. They would avoid being in that bottom 5th percentile. So that bottom 20%, I guess, with the teams that we're looking at adding here. So just a penny for your thoughts there.
And then another thing I saw a couple different times is, the news cycle kind of circulating now around 3 teams, the combination of Cal, Stanford, and now SMU. People are wondering if you sprinkle some bait out with some Stanford, could you get Notre Dame to commit as a full-time member in the ACC? Now that is an interesting conversation because Notre Dame, as we know, there's a whole lot of value in that brand. And if you can bring in a 4-pack, not the 4-pack, but Cal, Stanford, possibly SMU, and then a Notre Dame, would that be enticing to the ACC? If you do that, I'd say, yeah, probably. I think that probably is a good deal for the ACC in the event that the end goal here is to save the conference from folding, like the Pac-12.
Commissioner Phillips would give his left arm for that 4-pack.
Oh, yeah. Who wouldn't?
He would give everything for that 4-pack deal. The unfortunate part of it is I specifically asked him at ACC Media Days, there's been a lot of talk about expansion. There's been a lot of talk about what teams are going where. What is it looking like in terms of getting Notre Dame to the ACC? Have any conversations been had? And his words were, and I quote, if Notre Dame would like to fully commit to joining the ACC for football, we would love to have them. But for the foreseeable future, they are most likely going to enjoy their independence. So,
well, that was a couple weeks ago. Think about how much has changed in this last couple weeks.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All the conferences are singing the Big Mouth theme song right now. They're all going through changes. At the moment. And so you're not wrong that a lot of things have changed. But I think the biggest thing for Notre Dame is they like playing the schedule that they play because even when they're terrible, you're guaranteed Michigan, you're guaranteed Michigan State, you're guaranteed USC, you're guaranteed the pick of the litter out of ACC, be it NC State, be it UNC, be it Clemson, be it Florida State, be it whoever they want out of ACC, they're going to get that. And, that's just the nature of the beast for them. They get to pick and choose who they want year in and year out for the full 12-game schedule because there is no conference for them. There is no, we can't play this team because they're out of conference or we can't. They get to go where they want to go. So it'd be great. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it, but I doubt that that's going to happen.
I think in the rare event, purely hypothetical, that Notre Dame expresses interest in joining the ACC, I think this is the type of reaction you get from Jim Phillips.
Wow. Wow. In the words of Nevadius Wilbert, it's an evil world we live in. It's an evil world we live in.
I mean, Notre Dame to the ACC would certainly be interesting, to say the absolute least, just in terms of the network value, because I guess that is the only thing that matters nowadays, being as sad as that is. But yeah, I mean, it's seemingly now a new update every single day. The Pac-12 has kind of had their I don't want to call it moment in the sunshine, because I'm sure for a lot of folks it feels like a thunderstorm. But the ACC, it seems like they're up now. They're now on the trading block or the hot seat. So
at least my power got knocked out temporarily. The Pac-12 is done. Them boys are cooked. There's no backup.
Power came back on.
It came back on at some point in time. Those boys are finished over there. Oh, poor Pac-12. We hardly knew ye.
It's a tough one, but that's going to do it for us here on Wednesday. As I mentioned just a little bit ago, our video yesterday got a lot of engagement. Thank you all so much for diving in those comments and letting us know how you feel. Again, we love having these discussions. I want to see as many different viewpoints as I can get on this thing, because that's also in turn how we learn more here. I want to know what people think on this. So continue engaging with this, dive in those comments. Let us know what you think. Toss us a like, hit that subscribe button on your way in and also out the door. That's going up as well. We're quickly approaching 500. So thank you all so very much for your support. We'll see you all tomorrow. Go Pack.
Go Pack.